evening. Welcome to our November 14th meeting of the CAC. We'll call to order. Ready for public comment?
We do have an email that came in
Awesome.
that I'd like to address.
You're on screen. Okay.
Okay, so this is the email that came in. Up on the screen. So pull it up so I can read it for us. Sorry.
Is that a board docs or?
It will be.
Oh,
So I'll go ahead and start reading it out loud.
sure.
I'm emailing to request that a path between Joseph Court and the school path be installed. Newmarket Elementary School has had an ongoing problem with car lines going into Main Street and causing safety concerns. With the elimination of many bus routes this year, the problem has only grown. This year, the PTA partnered with the school to develop a program called Walking and Wheeling Wolves. It promotes families walking, biking their kids to school in an effort to reduce the car line traffic. I walk with my daughter to school and I can see the effort is bringing results. More families from our neighborhood are walking and biking to school this year. Those of us in Newmarket West neighborhood that live on Joseph and Tessie Court, along with the homes in the neighborhood that are located near Luia Fields, rely on the connection to the school that lies between Joseph Court and the school walking path. This section of land is currently unpaved and is usually either mud or wet grass in the mornings. For those that walk this way, our kids go to school with wet or muddy shoes each day. Moms are forced to push strollers through the grass, and the kids then have to dismount their scooters and push them through this section. In the winter, this will become an even harder feat. With the push to have kids walk bike to school, I believe the BOE should consider paving a pathway for kids and families. The HOA in Newmarket West was kind enough to pave their section a few years ago. I would hope the BOE would consider doing the same on their lane. For those on Joseph and Tessie Court and those families located in the homes near Luia Fields, that is not convenient. Many families are dropping their kids to school on their way to work, so to have to walk out of the way another 10 minutes may not work for some families. I appreciate your consideration on this matter. If there's anything else I can do on my end to push the matter, please let me know. I'm more than happy to contribute to the cause. So, this came into the CAC email, and we wanted to share it with the group to talk about moving this forward.
I mean, to me, my first question is the land owned by an HOA? Like, is there something we can do to partner? And we kind of, I don't know, from my understanding, the board would have the power to do anything if it's not land owned by Frederick County Public School.
I think she states that it is, but what she does, is it truly, is it speculative on her part? I'm guessing. On this person's part.
So my only thing would be, because of the fact that decisions were made affecting transportation, that then affects, is there a way that if the land's not owned, for FCPS to partner with whoever does own the land to try to figure out a solution would be the only way that we could address it moving forward. We would need more information about that. Because I can see the point that we did, FCPS did create more opportunities for people to walk because they took away their buses. So it would be helpful if FCPS did partner to make sure that there was a viable way for students to get to school.
Right now, I'm looking at the Google Earth for the map, trying to
That's
get a
what I'm trying
visual.
to do too.
Yeah, I'm looking at trying to get a visual of the location. See a walkway over here by the elementary school. It seems to go all the way over from this cul-de-sac over to this behind the school. And so I'm trying to find out over at the Tessie Court, there's a very huge field between the school and the neighborhoods. I'm not exactly sure if that location, just from Tessie Court, exactly where they want the,
I mean, I guess if she's talking about the property, she's talking about.
I guess I feel like this person might want to reach out to them, maybe get some more information, like some pictures maybe.
I'll take the document.
Well, that's,
Okay,
right,
that's awesome,
so
yeah.
we have, that, I think that would be good that we, can, you know, again, respond to them that we've heard them, and that we've talked about it during the meeting. However, staff will take a look at this, and we forward the message on to staff to review and take some next steps.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
You've done well, thank you very much.
Dr. Lebo, the facilities director.
He's chief operating officer.
So we take attendance right quick, so one's here. One's here.
Sabrina, do you have that electronically?
I do, I'll forward it to you.
Thank
I just like come in recently, they're just, somebody going up the stairs or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, just for your name, right?
Oh, I know what he does.
Let's see, Z, okay. Am I hearing things again, or? All right. Awesome, so we've got that taken care of. So now we need to approve our October 2023 minutes. Is there a motion to approve those? Motion on the floor, second.
Second.
Right, motion and second. All those in favor? Those opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, so taking care of our business. Now the deeper business. So we're in work session now. Our bylaws and officer voting. Let's get that taken care of. So, do we have a copy of our bylaws to pull up for? Thank you so much, Sabrina. Can we zoom in on that by chance? I'm using it at the top here. Awesome sauce. Yes. So we have our officers will be one term, and we have a chairperson, a vice chair, and I believe a secretary. So those are our three officers for our current set of bylaws, or our current, so do we have, so we need to set up our officers. We'd like to have nominations for each, so we'll start with, we should probably start with the president, or chair. And
Just one thought,
Hmm?
can we start with who is actually still a member of the committee? Like, are there people, I feel like it's the same group that keeps attending, and then Celeste. Is there anyone who is still, besides the four of us? Well, you guys.
Someone you want to nominate, so we can get attendance, those, I think. We have that.
Because otherwise it's gonna be really fast, like, what do you wanna do, what do you
Well,
wanna
the thing
do?
is, it always goes by, our bylaws, we did before, we updated them last year, it would go by the majority of the president. So in that regard, members who were walking, the president wouldn't have a vote in response. So based on how we set it up last year, we had to update it last year. So then we'll get the certification, but then based on the bylaws, some of them might be transitioning out. Because of attendance.
No, Amanda, who is from Middletown, so, she was just concerned that she wasn't gonna be able to make it during this season because of the kids' sports.
Okay.
They're both on separate teams, so Dad's got one, and she's got the other. So, and we don't meet next month, and so I don't know what her.
Anyone wants to persevere, but we're definitely not, I wouldn't think that the bylaws would hold that person. Someone who's like willfully just absent, like not communicating whatsoever, kind of like radio silent, and that's when the bylaws kick in. But if you're communicating with her, like if she has, I know that email she sent, that wouldn't kick in for her. It would be like, who do we have a
And I
four
believe Lisa,
for your side? So is that it?
Lisa Ford,
Mm-hmm.
I believe is also
Regular.
still on.
So how many do you have there?
So Lisa, John, Lindsay. Celeste, Amanda.
I wasn't, sorry, I was listening. I thought you were counting.
6 or 7.
Okay.
7. So, now, this is to be, not like this last meeting for the year.
It is,
It
yes.
is. And so, and we have, we've had higher attendance this year, earlier this season, but we had other business to get to, so we never got to this part. It's always, that's why I put it at the top of the meeting right here, because we're always like, oh, we ran out of time for that. It's like two meetings in a row. It's like, this has to get done.
And we can put out a request for membership also, to hopefully start at the beginning, once we have our leadership.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, I'm at full peace with taking that vote today, but I want to go with your piece. If you like to table that for later, I'll go with the council. You know, until we get a higher population of members present and do that. I want you to,
I'm torn because obviously there's a small number of people to take on the positions, but I also feel we will get more membership and be more productive if we assign certain roles to people, you know, with communication and moving forward and things like that. So
I have a proposal. I would like to make a motion to nominate Lauren as our president and to leave the other positions open until our next meeting. So we keep other people, we put leadership in place, minimally so, but then we allow others to come to the meeting, next meeting hopefully, and express potentially their desire to be more involved.
we have a motion to a second. A second. So there's a motion and a second discussion.
I like your second half of your proposal.
Lauren, I feel like you are always engaged. You are obviously got your finger on the pulse of your community. And it seems to me you are passionate about the things that we're engaged in. So it seems to be a natural choice.
And as an educator, I think you can read this about that. Sure. Being a parent and an educator, so you have the understanding of both sides.
Strong discussions that I do not disagree with.
The time piece, if we could add about 2 more hours to my day, but I am passionate, I agree, and I do care about. My husband will not be happy with you.
Sorry.
So, I mean, honestly, about that, to the role, look at the role here, what comes down to it is just, setting up the meeting agenda. It's kind of what I've been doing recently. So, get into, Catherine before 7 days before the meeting starts, and, myself and Sabrina are free to check in with, or anything you might be thinking about, flushing around. It's helpful to have a vice chair, because they can stand in your absence, and they can also, you know, but in this case with the motion, that motion as it would, if it was passed, it would be, you know, I would step in if you were able to, so you have help. And I think honestly, from where we are now, what you would provide the council is direction, and what you would gain would be the agenda. So that's what you would gain. So I don't know if right now it would be tons more work. I think it'd just be a little more work.
I'm definitely willing to step into that role currently, and then as we, I don't know if it's possible to be like a tentative, like set up in that role, and then as we have more membership, we can look at if that's a
So we
possibility.
can make it an interim.
Yes.
So do you want, so there's a counter offer to amend your motion to interim.
I think, can you define, what's your sense of interim? I mean, are we talking, how long are the board positions?
1 year.
1 year? Okay.
I think I'm just to have a better understanding of what our committee is going to entail once we invite more membership. Are there going to be more committee members to kind of share the load with, like that is
Hopefully
more.
so, yeah. We're hoping, we wanted to get, as we mentioned before, last year, we all discussed, we wanted to get, officers in place before we do our big membership drive. We didn't want to bring them in the disorder.
Right.
We all, I bless
We
you
know how to
all
work
for suffering
Right.
through that. We wanted to avoid that, we wanted to have them come in order, having officers in place helps alleviate that. So it's kind of, that was the mindset behind that.
So my concern or thought, concern, however it may be is, aren't we all kind of cycling out in June or May?
So there was a pass for that, I think, in the,
I think there was one member was allowed to stay a third year or something.
go up to the very top again.
First meeting, starting will be show hands.
Wasn't there 2 years, what top, 2 years? Go to the very
No,
top?
so 1 year, it's a
Okay.
1 year.
Officers,
Officer.
members,
Return
2
to
years.
your term.
Yeah, that's
May-
what I'm saying.
Has it been 2 years?
Yeah, May.
No way.
Yeah.
But you all may reapply.
Oh, that is up there.
Yeah. So
So you may reapply.
you may reapply. In this case, we'll take a very light application of, I would like to stay, is really reapplication. So there's other terms on that, so we're open to, reapplying how we wish. So in this case, it'd just be a,
Oh, it is, yes.
wow, it's been 2 years. It has not been 2 years. Holy man.
We've had a couple pauses.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, well, like we met May and June and then,
Yeah, the whole fight for us to come back to the new
September,
board came and they were like, stop. I was like, don't stop.
Yeah.
Yes, oh, yeah. Nightmare, yes. remember.
Lauren, I can understand that there's uncertainty about what will happen next year in terms of who will possibly join and the direction of things, but I think it'd be really important to have somebody in place as our leader, at least until May, which is really, it's only 6-7 months away after all. And then we will be electing new leadership for next academic year. So
That's a fair-
I would encourage you to please be our leader.
Okay. I will reluctantly accept for that,
Nomination.
just doing that, yes.
So do you need a motion to May then?
Sorry?
Well, it says.
Oh, we've
the
only-
election
yeah, well,
process
it's just
takes
for
place
this-
at the first meeting of each.
Okay, then.
Just for this year.
So it's
It's
only.
book the sauce. Okay,
It's only.
great. Okay, so there's a motion on the floor, there's a second, and we have discussion. All those in favor? Those against? Motion passes. Congratulations, Chairperson. Stanzik. All right.
Sanchez.
Stanzik. Stanzik. All right. Stanzik. Thank you. I need 2 more times before I get it. Stanzik. Got it.
Good stuff, don't worry.
All right. So, I
So you
will,
have to talk about bylaws.
please, you, I'll just carry the
Yeah.
meeting and then we'll,
I'm happy
Straight
with
up.
that motion.
yeah, we'll trade out, next meeting. So next we have update on policy, our
Oh, we
policy,
gotta talk about bylaws
bylaw. Oh,
before you move on.
I mentioned it there, just a open spot there. Was there
I
more?
think we had to vote on bylaws because we couldn't vote last time because we
I thought
didn't have it on
Oh,
we had the
okay.
wording.
So do you
but we
have that
didn't-
wording for us?
I'm gonna pull it back
Okay,
up.
I thought we put that in there. Okay, let's do that. Let's do it bylaw. I said that last time.
We came up with the wording, we proposed it, but it wasn't on the agenda, so we couldn't vote. So now we
Gotcha.
vote on the wording that should be in the minutes. Page 1, and I apologize, I don't have it up, I'll read it to you in a moment.
Actually, now that you're on bylaw, I have a question when we're done with this one. I actually have a question.
so you want, since I made the comment that I would be happy to send it to, send the reminders, I'll take that.
That would be
You
awesome.
set the agenda, send it to me, and I'll send it.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
That partnership.
So,
So the bylaw review that we have, is that a member may be reviewed from membership after missing 3, well, no, wait. Talked about membership.
you can just control.
Members, okay, so I think it was here, members will serve a 2-year term and may reapply. And then we were adding, a member may be removed from membership after missing 3 meetings through a majority vote and approval of the Board of Education.
Mhm.
That was our bylaw change.
That sounds appropriate. So, do a motion for that?
I need to accept the bylaws as
Okay?
Second. Motion second. Discussion? All those in favor? Yes. It passes.
All right, so we will have the bylaws changed.
So then I have a question I wanted to ask. Refresh my memory. Did we add in, our new position? No, we have a position, did we put in bylaws?
No.
We should probably do that. That now exists. It's in the board's it's in the board's document now.
Yeah.
In policy 114, it's in policy. And we should kind of, please have a reference to it in our positions. So we'll have, chair, vice chair, recording secretary. Just kind of put like C, policy 114, so we don't have to. Policy X, in the policy, so we can do that ourselves. So can we do it now, or we have to wait to do it?
We can, because we have bylaws listed here, we can vote on that also.
Okay,
Because now that's completely official.
it's
right?
official.
That's
Yes, it is.
official
Yep.
from the board.
Oh, that's right, because it was a little bit,
It
We
was
were
so-
still waiting on
that.
that.
Yeah, it passed. I knew it.
yeah,
It
yeah.
passed.
I'm trying to see the wording on policy.
So once we have it, we just need a motion to put that into our bylaws, so it's our fourth officer liaison to our policy. That's what I was in my brain. Okay.
When is the next policy meeting?
Honestly, the way they're meeting, I'll guess tomorrow.
Right, so the next policy meeting, so I have that listed when we talk about the information from SWOT. So I have the date, so we'll go over that in just a minute.
Okay.
We're pretty close. Next Monday.
Okay, so what they have listed is the Citizens Advisory Council, CAC, shall recommend to the board one member to serve as an advisory, non-voting member of the policy committee, subject to the approval of the board. So I think using advisory, non-voting member, the policy committee could be the title of that position, as listed in policy 114.
I mean, I would think we just take the language right from moving forward and put it in our bylaws. But the fourth position, I think, could be a fourth position. So it could be under section 5, I guess. Yeah, it could be add on. It seems kind of out of order. But, yeah, section 5, perfect. It would be right in order. Article
Right,
4, section 5,
or section.
perfect. So we see the motion for that.
Do we want to talk about their duties besides attending policy committee meetings? What do we want
good point.
from
From them on our side.
CAC toward this position?
I would think we want them to voice, are they given an opportunity to voice? So to be prepared and to take the information that CAC committee has gathered at our discussions and to share the view of the community and the community when possible.
That's good.
Because
So,
hopefully we're not just representing our committee, but
but
the
it
community.
sort of should, because
Okay.
it shouldn't be a direct, unfiltered, right to the policy committee. This is, the community supposed to come to us, and then we send that person off to them. So I think the
I'm
community.
just trying, because I feel like there's a lot of personal agendas.
Right, which is why the position should mention that it gets direction from the council to the
Okay.
policy.
represents CAC's views.
Exactly. So so that way you're getting Lone Rangers.
Okay.
And if they do the Lone Ranger, it's against the bylaws. So like.
Right, but I mean, as far as that the views are representing the committee, but also that the committee's getting the ideas from the,
Yeah, we'll definitely look at the community, but I think that person should.
But that's in our
Yeah.
rules anyway, so if it's representing the committee, then that should already been filtered out. Okay,
So, Gio,
So what I heard, is we're gonna include a advisory non-voting member, to the policy committee. And their, under number 1 or A, their duty would be to, attend policy committee meetings. B would be prepared to voice perspective from CAC committee and share view from community.
I think we're taking out the last part.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so be prepared to voice perspective from CAC committee.
And then report
And then
back.
to communicate back.
Yeah.
Okay.
They should go as the agent of the council and nothing more.
Communicate back with CAC. Do we have, is that a motion?
Not yet. You should flush it out, as we should have flushed it out
Yeah.
first, then make a motion. Did you rehearse that one more time for us?
Sure, so, it would be to, we're gonna add section 5, the advisory non-voting member of the policy committee. A would be attend policy committee meetings. B would be prepared to voice perspective from CAC committee. And C is communicate, policy committee findings back to CAC.
If you were listening out of that?
Was that good with the wording?
Are we good? So what will be a time frame? Because policy committee used to meet like monthly, but that's kind of been sped up recently. Should we put a time frame on that person? But that could be overworking. If they're in a hurry season, they're always reporting back. It's kind of like, that's troublesome for them.
Yeah, I mean, is Celeste available for all of these meetings?
So far she has been, so I don't want to stretch her. So like, do we
Yeah.
say,
I think we should keep it consistent with the 1-year term for
Mhm.
officers. And then again, same timing
absolutely?
for the beginning of the school year.
I mean, like,
And
how
I
can
think
you
we
report out?
did,
Or how often they report out, whenever they come back.
at our next meeting, at our
Fair
monthly meeting.
enough. That's
And I
okay.
think we did say before, I don't know if it needs to be in there, but we did say that if she can't attend one, she would reach out to somebody else to try to have a substitute.
That's a good idea. Did we say that?
I mean,
We said that, but we didn't
we
say
didn't,
that.
exactly, it
It
wasn't like
wasn't
an
written down,
official.
didn't happen. So yeah, we gotta
to be
put
the
that.
bylaw.
Yeah, put it in the bylaw.
You don't.
I don't think it needs to be in there. I mean, that's not.
But we had that for the resident though.
Whether the vice chair would assume the duties.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking like, if a person can't make it, then we do that connection.
About a recording secretary, what happens if the recording secretary can't?
Years, I guess. But-
Yeah, exactly. I mean, anybody deemed a vice anything, vice chair, vice president, it's assumed they're probably ready to the duties, you can stand in for the main person. But for the other roles, let's say we had a treasurer, right? We wouldn't have language in there about what happens if the treasurer can't make the meeting.
I get that, but the only thing that the policy committee liaison is like, that's a meeting you want to, that's our connection to the policy committee. So I feel like that one, I mean, do we just say like, the president will, the chair will decide who goes, if not, if can make it?
We're able to, because she was approved by the board.
Right, so that's,
I forgot about that part.
I think
So
they
we
don't
can't-
want just
And
anybody.
we can't well, they want to be approved by us to approved by them. So, okay, I guess John said right now, so we leave it, okay. Good point. Good point, that's a whole other 8 meetings to get this.
Okay,
We just want to add somebody else to be.
did you get a motion?
We did not, so do we have a motion for those approved changes?
I move to approve the changes as read.
Second. All right, all those in favor? None opposed? So all present, that passes. So updates to add liaison. Thank you very much. All right. So that was the first part of that one. The second part would be the handout. Getting
So,
work done,
okay,
folks.
so on the policy committee, appointees, Celeste was, apologetic that she wasn't able to be here tonight, and, she is doing a marching band, celebration dinner this evening that she's the coordinator for. So she has attended the policy committee meetings, they are including her in the discussions, and, she wrote up a summary on the back page about 2 CAC members, about this is a summary of the discussions from policy committee. And they were very welcoming. It's, she gave a summary on the front of this paper that explains the topics that were discussed. They are moving on to the 400 series, and that's this other page, the color page for the 400 series. And the policies that are listed in the 400 series and are color coded are broken down into groups. So group 1 are the primary policies that they're looking to review. The policy committee will be reviewing first. How long and how many policy committee meetings, like I'm not sure if this is all gonna happen on Monday, November 20th, which is the next date for the policy committee. Because there are some significant policies listed in this first group. They may only get through 1, 2, 3, we don't know. But this is where we would start to provide feedback for Celeste within this first yellow group. Policy committee will meet again in December when we don't meet in December, so they may get through again the full yellow before our next meeting. Our next meeting is not scheduled until January 17th, and then the next policy committee meeting is right after that on the 24th. So we can provide some updates and discussions with Celeste during that time. In the meantime, if we want to briefly talk about any of these in the yellow now, we can provide some feedback to Celeste now, or again, if you want to review, then part of the discussion that was had with Celeste was that there can be communication, again, when you go back to your feeder patterns and discuss some of these policies with your community. We want to share it with CAC, but we also need to get it, there's a time, we're in a time issue right now. So what we were thinking is that we could look at emailing Celeste, but CC the CAC email. A lot to say. But that way, I know. But that way it all comes back to the committee so that we can ensure that we're, again, the voice of the committee and not an individual on the committee. And that the committee is fully aware of the communication that's ongoing with policy. As we move forward, we'll be able to talk in advance of the policy committee meetings, and we'll talk here publicly about what some of the concerns or suggestions are, because now we have this list to be able to start previewing and going forward. But now with the start, we're kind of playing catch up.
Yeah, and I think my concern is looking at these are a lot of the ones that we've identified in our, what we want to focus on, and also hot topics for a lot of our feeder patterns right now. So I would definitely want to propose that could we split them up among the three of us and Celeste and even some of the members that aren't here.
Yeah, I can speak with Amanda. I'm sure she'd work, just being able to attend is the issue.
Yeah, and then maybe we can set like a date that we want to email our thoughts in order to give Celeste time to be prepared to speak. But then maybe, is it possible if we see things that we're really concerned about and we want to discuss in person, that we could still discuss it and share it another time? Just because I think these are really big topics.
And Celeste also shared that if anyone wants to speak with her individually, because again, email is one thing and having a conversation about it is a different way to communicate, and may help to provide some different perspectives. So she did share it. Please email her if anybody wants to speak with her directly, and that way she can be more informed to take it back to policy. Again, the next meeting is this Monday coming up.
And they're discussing the yellow ones.
They're starting with you. So I don't know, again, how many, it's just going to depend.
I think, yeah, we're not going to get through all these, right?
I don't
No.
believe so.
I think this
Yeah.
is so weighty, there will be a little more time on this.
I
And
think
they have
it
to
just
come
came
to at least 2 readings for the board.
Well, can anyone, Sabrina, do you know, I don't see, I just scanned a letter here from Celeste, but a broad question first. Do you know upon what basis these are grouped?
If you want to go to capital, we're talking about, it's up here on the
Absolutely.
table.
So these were
Go- go to
grouped
the-
based upon, I think it was based upon multiple things. So it's based upon time when it was last reviewed, and that's our last update that's listed in that column. And it was based upon staff working with certain policies. So let's say, it looks like, if I'm understanding this correctly, so March 22nd of '06, the first one on was the furthest away that was reviewed. And so the staff that works with suspension and expulsion also work with student traits, student discipline. So they kind of group them together by staff involvement and by date. And that was done from the legal department. They went through and looked at all the policies and tried to,
Okay, so that's, I think that's the answer I'm looking for. So
okay.
who did this? The legal,
Legal, yes.
yeah.
The legal department went through and tried to bring this together. Now, I'm looking at the November 20th agenda for policy committee. And they're not starting on any of the 400s. So they're not starting on this yellow for this Monday.
They're not.
They're going back to policy 500 and 501, which is the bottom comment that she has on the first page. Policy 114, which the board may have requested some additional review of that because that's the policy development. Policy 109 is here, and conflict of interest 305, which again was not included on the last one. These may have just been up for still in their cycle that they had scheduled. And then political activity is policy 314. That's what's going to be, that's the agenda for the 20th. So I think we have time, that's my point, for these upcoming 400 series policies, the yellow.
So
It's not listed for the November 20th meeting. So the December 13th meeting, they may get to this. So we have time to get some feedback on the yellow.
Yeah, so I just saw here, Serena, at the top of that page of her letter, it says, the attached chart SB, that must be you, Steve, Blightus,
Yes.
group them together in terms of relevance.
Yes.
So not necessarily by date, but rather just by issue, right? They were similar in topic, I guess. And I think that also means that the group numbering does not denote priority necessarily.
it might be because, if I heard correctly, they're trying to bring in the various employees that will have, this is in their purview
Impact.
to address. So when they have their meeting, then they can have the subject matter experts in there with them.
Yeah, that may be the case, but I'm still not sure that you know, the December meeting, they're gonna go to group one necessarily. Maybe they'll go in order, I don't know, but that might be useful to gain some clarity on. What is their plan of attack after the November meeting?
That's a great question for Celeste.
So we can watch the policy committee meeting again, because this was discussed in policy. And so that would provide some clarity. So I can send the link for the beginning of that, or for that discussion, so that there's a better understanding about the process.
She writes here, I believe the policy committee will look at the first section of the 400s table first, as they're the oldest by review date, but that's not quite right, because if you look down at group number 4 has a policy from 2006 in it. Group number 5 has a policy from 2006 in it.
Yes, but I think the
So does
oldest is in group 1, 32206, the first one.
I see.
And then they went again based upon a combination of things. But yes, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
And I'll send the link for clarity to watch that under the policy committee.
So are we thinking then that we're not going to be able to weigh in on whatever they're going to talk about on Monday, that we're going to try to divvy up the workload to provide input maybe on group 1, assuming that's
Unless
next
you
up.
want to sort of public comment
For
for
December.
December, you weigh in.
Yeah,
Sure, yeah.
but does that sound right for the committee?
And that's what I'm thinking, that if we divide these up, then hopefully we have time to get it, but by Monday, I think is wishful thinking, because these are heavy.
And it's not on the agenda for policy committee on Monday, because it just recently came out, so I looked.
Okay.
So I apologize, I didn't say that wrong.
And we don't know when the next policy meeting is after Monday.
December 13th. So we have time, but we don't have a meeting in between. That's
No.
where, however, could there be discussions, again, email discussions, or a subcommittee to talk about policies and get together?
Are we allowed to use something other than email, like a, somebody sort of like a, just like a discussion, like another way? No, like at school we use Canvas. Is there another like technology mode that someone's familiar with that we'd all have access with? Or is email the best? Like if we started a Google document that we shared with everybody and people could comment on it.
Right.
Still have to be a public
Yeah, it was documented.
document on board docs. That would be shared, but
Are all of our emails published too? Like when we're even just emailing about,
They're open to.
are we having a meeting?
Public requests, so they are documented, dated, open for requests, so those are, they have their own way of being public documents.
and that's why we need to communicate in an open forum and share this information. Because we are a board committee and we're talking. However,
Is it possible to turn a Google Doc once we've had it, turn it into a published document? I'm just trying to think of what would be the
So-
easiest way to be productive
Yeah, so
and communicate through it. Because I think following a chain of thought through emails is hard.
what you're saying, it could be a subcommittee, then it could be a document, Google Doc that's shared by certain emails that's publicly viewable, but not publicly editable. So it could be like, viewed by anybody, but you see, send the link in the email. So the link in the email is a document, public document, that links in public document, and you set it to viewable. Anybody can go in and view, you put it in board docs at the end of the meeting or whatever, it can be seen by everyone. But you said the edit possibilities, so just the council, so not anybody can just edit the document, it can be seen. That could be something.
Because I mean, there's someone, if we were to meet as a subcommittee at Starbucks, that whole conversation isn't in
but
front of
the
them.
outcome
Right,
would be report, the subcommittee would need to report the outcome during the meeting.
so that's
And
what I'm
so,
thinking,
Madam
if we,
Chairperson, Section 4 says will have the authority to schedule emergency meetings in addition to regular monthly meetings. And the CAC may establish ad hoc or standing subcommittees as needed in Section 5. If a time-sensitive issue arises in between monthly meetings, the chairperson may appoint an ad hoc subcommittee to address it. So you can appoint and then if you all want to come together and meet with Celeste prior to the December 13th meeting to discuss these, again, she'll talk about it in policy, and then it can be reviewed in CAC.
but am I understanding correctly that if we want to not meet in person, but have a conversation that can then, like our minutes are
You can do a
published?
Google Meet. You can do or Zoom or whatever to connect, but then yes, you would report back that we had an ad hoc committee meeting.
So even if we had a Google Doc that was being transferred between, say, the three of us, just take a conversation. That doesn't necessarily have to be public, it's just notes between us, and then we report what we
The final
find,
result.
to be the most appropriate to come back.
What are your thoughts about it?
That work?
I'm of mixed view. I feel like, personally and professionally, I've got a ton to do between now and middle of December when my family leaves town for the holidays.
Yeah.
That said, this stuff is really important. This is sort of my marching orders from my community was to engage in some of these topics.
I 100% agree.
And so, boy,
Yeah, if it was some of these other things down here, I'd be like, let's
Just
just worry about January 13th. But
Well,
looking
what-
at these topics, they are what we have
Yep.
agreed are the topics of our highest importance.
It's all
I'm
coming together.
wondering if Celeste will have more information after the policy committee meeting on Monday as to what the plan is going forward for the December 20th, which may narrow it down to maybe the first two.
Let me email, Celeste to see like,
How about, are you comfortable? I'll reach out to Celeste, maybe talk to her on the phone. Maybe she can even convey that these are of high interest in our feeder patterns in our communities and our committee, and maybe we can ask that we table it till we have more time to get more feedback and time to look at it. And then if not, maybe we can get some guidance that way and start a Google Doc discussion for people who have time to look at it.
And perhaps they don't cover all the things that they were gonna cover next week, and it gets pushed to December, and we get nothing to that back to.
Good point.
Amen.
And then,
Because I won't have a lot of time before this Monday either. I've got
Yeah, so
conferences
what,
and- yeah.
I wasn't even thinking about it. When you
Yeah.
mentioned it, it's like, oh, yeah. That,
the busy time of year, we're about to enter the sort of crazy time of the
Yeah.
year, right?
Yes.
I think that makes sense, and then we kind of leave it in your hands with Celeste
To be our voice and just share, this is.
to
an
be our voice,
area.
but also if you feel it necessary to use your, ad hoc committee meeting calling authority to do that if we need to.
So I'll talk to Celeste and I'll send an email about. But didn't we already say that they're not gonna be discussing, they already sent out the agenda for Monday, so these would only be for December 13th.
December, we're going home.
Okay.
Yes. Anything else on this topic?
So, that was awesome. It's been a long time coming, folks, and you put in the dues to get here. That was awesome. Thank you all so much for your perseverance. We are now on, so work session, and we're taking care of officer voting bylaws, we're taking care of the policy committee appointee. That's about, now we're on council feedback. We just did that. The feedback, now we're on, community feedback for the council. So anything from the community? I heard that this is what they've been saying, so that's actually, it makes me, I get a warm fuzzy feeling with that, because I'm so glad we're doing what you guys come to see. And so thank you for persevering, we got to that point. It gives me very, very feeling, especially knowing what all you've gone through to get here. So,
For what it's worth, I'll note, I think I mentioned this in one of our previous meetings, but the text about this council continues to appear on a weekly basis in the Frederick High School notes that go out.
wonderful.
Notes that go out from the principal every week. So,
Okay.
yeah, consistently there. I don't know if it contributed to the email. I gather it didn't because it came from Newmarket, but
But maybe they
anyways,
didn't want to.
it's out there all the time or each week.
Okay, so that's what we had tonight.
So our next meeting is scheduled for January 17th. And then we have a tentative meeting on February 6th. Do you have any thoughts about? the tentative meeting?
is it just tentative because it's so far out, or?
We were looking at possibly doing quarterly meetings or bi-monthly, every 2 months. So I think we had it tentatively scheduled for February 6th.
You see,
Are we pausing on that still? Should be a tentative or two?
So February 6th, right? And so we're checking in with, we have leadership, so we can call meetings in between if need be. And we're checking in 400 series. So, Chairperson, what do you think?
I mean, my opinion is, I want to make sure that we are staying, I mean, who wants a ton of meetings? But the reality is, we really want to stay ahead and have time to do our research and get feedback from the community to then be able to be timely and productive with, if that's what would concern me, to meet quarterly. I don't want to feel like we're falling behind again and then like a last minute scramble to provide.
So the question is, do you think it warrants a full meeting? Or do you think it will warrant a subcommittee meeting for that?
I have a comment. I note that the February 6th meeting is only 3 weeks after, in fact, less than 3 weeks after the 17th meeting. Maybe it's best to see what emerges from the policy committees work here to see how quickly they're rolling along. And if it's required, then we do schedule a February meeting, but maybe a week later to give us more time to kind of chew through this stuff.
So that, but also, what is the plan for call for new members? Would it be before the new year, after the new year? When would their first potential meeting be?
I was thinking after the new year, because everybody's gonna be like, you guys mentioned before, everybody's like, and then nobody's checking that right now. And so they're coming back in January, this is coming back to school. I think that's when we can send it out, when the kids touch ground again, because they're like, okay, I'll check back in again.
So then how long does it take to get these people on board?
So that's a great question. It depends on, honestly, the atmosphere in the community. Whether,
What kind of feedback you
feedback we're getting, whether people are content or discontent, or whether they're feeling helpful or not helpful, whether you got through the right channels this time. So last time we had to beat the drum at least twice to get folks in. I imagine if we did it this time, I think by March we did a big folks so far. We started in January, February, by March we get some folks in.
So we normally keep it open about 2 weeks, and we may extend it, which is what happened. And then once it's, then the membership has to, the applications have to be reviewed, then they have to go to the board to be approved, so it's a process. So that time frame can extend to a month, 2 months.
Why don't you open it January 2nd?
January 2nd.
Yeah, I think we want to see people as soon as possible.
I agree with that. I think having like a full meeting on January 7th, can we keep February, 17th. February 6th as a possible subcommittee work group, as we have the space to kind of make it not a full meeting, but more of just if people want to collaborate and share some of their findings and research to get organized. Or keep it as a possible meeting if needed. If we decide through communication with Celeste, through communication with the policy meeting.
It's easier to cancel a meeting, so why don't you keep it, and if you don't need it, cancel it.
So tentative, keep it tentative, Tim?
I think we're gonna keep it, and then if we decide that we've been really productive in January.
Because it is a public meeting.
Yes, that's what my next thing.
We have to have advance notice of,
How much? 7 days?
now, to keep the meeting, board leadership has, if it's on the calendar, it needs to stay on the calendar.
This is not as tentative, so you have a little leeway.
Tentative, we have a little leeway,
I
but
would
right
say
now,
more
board
than
leadership is, yeah.
So, yes.
However, if we're changing to a subcommittee meeting, then that's not open to the public. And that is something that just can be done. So there's a
That might be a better suggestion.
Because I think with all the things that are going on, maybe just changing it to a subcommittee meeting. So I feel like that's what we need time to do.
Okay. So then that can be subcommittee meetings, listen, if you
It's
change
not
here,
listed, it's just,
well,
What are your thoughts? Just change it to a subcommittee meeting to be able to.
I mean, it's fine for, I mean, because we're kind of subcommittee.
That's how I feel.
Use your flexibility.
But even the whole, if they're taking some of the formality out of it.
Yeah,
might help.
just to really have a rich discussion of what we want these recommendations for the policy to be, to have a chance to really share out the research that we're dividing up, or
I'm just gonna note that here.
would all the members that are, like, would that include input from the three of you from SCPS if we had a subcommittee
You
meeting?
did us there.
That he said.
Sorry, so like you said, we don't? We do.
You don't, but if you needed us there, we could certainly.
So Sabrina, what's our next meeting after February 6th?
I think the next was if Marco's gonna look at the connection with, Dr. Lebo for the, you know, report out to the committee. So I did speak with, council about your request for the AI policy. It's very much on council's mind. Council was saying like, oh, I was looking at that. She was like, I was already looking at that. And so it's definitely at the forefront of, council's mind. It's a really, sticky and trying to find the right language for it. But that is being, that was definitely, when I brought it up to council, they were definitely like, there's a right in where I am. So that's happening. He actually, you know, right in the throes of that.
On a similar note, though, if there was some, like if we start doing research on some of these policies, we talked to Celeste, and it would be timely for us to hear from, could we invite somebody on February 6th or to, like, from FCPS, or would that have to be in a, like a like January 17th or March kind of meeting?
I feel like if you know you're gonna do it, boom, you could ask now, possibly have somebody there. But I almost feel like, who are you asking to come? That's the first question.
I'm just starting out, like if we start looking at some of these big policies and we wanted to invite somebody to hear more about the current student rights and responsibilities, like, you know, to come in. And I understand the policy committee might be doing that as well. I'm just trying to figure out what are the differences between the January 17th and the February 6th. Because if we really want to
Just the
dig deep,
issue time frame.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the more time frame you give them, the better quality we think you'll have. But if you ask too close up front, you'll probably get like a junior member to present to you. But if you get more leeway, you probably can get the person who's leading that charge to come out, because
so we could still invite somebody.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
So just saying for planning for, like if I have a conversation with Celeste
Mhm.
and she thinks that some of these, we could plan now and say February 6th, if there's availability for somebody, they could still come, even if it's a subcommittee.
First, I was told that I think Mr. Lewis is working really hard policy right now. Lots going on. If you ask for in February, you may get a sub-staffer. If you ask for in March, you may get him.
So it appears that after the February 6th meeting, I didn't see one scheduled for March, and then we have an April 16th meeting. And then that was the final meeting for the end of the year.
So it's March and April.
February, right now, tentative,
Well, we have made the bylaws, so we could go to May if we needed to, right? Do we have made the bylaws?
we do not have anything scheduled right now, but yes, again, we can add meetings, we can, but
How soon do we have to add a meeting if we wanted to add a meeting to May?
we would need to check for availability, but we can look at that. Is that,
I mean, personally, if it takes a long time to add a meeting, I'd rather go ahead and add a meeting and then decide that we don't need.
So tentatively.
if we-
The tentative will hold space for you.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because it just seems like there's not a lot, especially if we're waiting, if we might not, we're opening up for new members January
Yeah, I would-
2nd.
Yeah, so we agree.
I want to make sure we have enough
Yep.
meetings for people, that for the new members to feel engaged.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what
You know, to ride the summer and come back with ideas.
I know May is crazy though, so if we make it a tentative.
May is very
that's,
crazy.
yeah, that's, I think that's a big part of why.
May
It was
is-
not scheduled.
May is very crazy. There's testing in May, graduations in May. Holy moly.
Yeah.
I'm speaking at graduations in May. Make them hear my road, like, hey guys. Yeah, I think we've hit all of our points. I have that added to the meeting for a possible tentative meeting requested for May. I had hit the microphone with the Lebo with requests for new market walkways. And if all hearts and minds are clear, we are adjourned. Thank you so much.